Hi, Leslie Khoo here. How are you? Through this channel, I hope you can find useful information to help create your stories. I'm an author. My first book was published in 2017. In my previous video, I've talked about how easy it is today for a new or independent author to publish his or her books. Unlike in the past, it was difficult and you have to go through a publisher. And also now it is free to publish a book based on the platform that you choose. And also I have highlighted in my previous video how to keep that momentum of writing going, how to keep the momentum of creating a story going. Now, after deciding that you want to write a book, the next step is to choose a genre. This is what I'm going to talk about today in this video. Now, choosing a genre is the first thing that I do before I start writing my story or planning the storyboard. It is important, very important, knowing what genre lays the foundation of how my story will be created, in what way that it will be created, and that leads to the characters, okay? The lead characters or lead character. What do I want them to be like? What do I want them to do? And after that, it also leads to the other characters, not the leading ones. How do I want them to be involved in the story? How are they going to interact with each other? What is going to happen to them as the story goes? What is the main event? Okay. That also leads to the event. What kind of environment do I need to create for the stories? There are many other things to be considered. Without knowing which genre that I want, I will not have the directions for the storyboard, for the events, for the characters, for the environments, and all the other things in the story. So choosing the genre for a story is very important. Then what kind of genre should I choose? The answer is definitely the one that I like. That doesn't matter if it is not a genre that is popular, or meaning many readers like to read books that belong to this genre. Okay. What is important for me is to choose a genre that I'm happy to write a story on. It must be able to give me the momentum to write. Say, I don't want a genre that is a burden to me as an author. I don't want to end up wanting to quickly finish writing the story just because I want to quickly move on to write a story of a genre that I like. If such a thing were to happen, the story would, for sure, I can guarantee, be a bad one, a lousy one. Having chosen a genre that I like, everything else would fall into place. Be it the storyline, the characters, the events, and other things in the story. The process will be smooth when I'm writing the story, from the start until the end. Then the next question you will ask, well, how do I know which genre is the right one? Or which genres are the right ones? I will look at the books that I have read. If a majority of these books fall into a particular genre or certain genres, then those are the ones. Those are the ones that I should use, because those are the ones that I like, that I should choose for my stories. I mean, they cannot be the genres that I don't like. If I don't like them, I would not have enjoyed reading those books. For me, I like sci-fi, supernatural, fantasy, and war. So almost all the books that I have read belong to these four categories. My own books so far fall under the first two categories, sci-fi and supernatural. When I was planning for my stories, the process was smooth. Well, I mean, other than the first book, which I will touch on later, I did not have difficulties in building the stories, forming the main characters and the interactions between them, and also creating the major events of the stories. I like those stories, and that gives me the joy to present them in words, and therefore my books. So it is very important to choose the categories or genres that you like. It's very important to choose what you like, not what the market wants. Choosing a genre that I like is a starting point of my story creations. I don't want to be in the wrong directions way from the beginning. Think of it. It's like in a desert. If you get the bearing wrong, continue heading the wrong directions will only drift you away or get you further away from where you want to go. So it is important, very important, to get the bearing correct before you even start planning your story. Else, there's a high risk that you will not be able to finish your story, or maybe give up halfway, or maybe end up with a lousy story with all your effort wasted. I always keep this in mind. Get the correct genre, make sure I start on the right footing. Then some of you may say, or may comment, well, we can make changes. We go wrong, fair enough, we can make changes. True, we can make changes halfway or make amendments halfway. But based on what I went through for my first book, it will for sure take lots of time and effort to correct those mistakes. And there's a very high chance that if that happens to you, you hate it. I know it because I've been there. So by not making the same mistake twice, I make sure that I start at the correct bearing, choose the genre that I like. So just have to keep that in mind. This is the starting point. Now, what are the genres that I should avoid for my stories? Clearly, they are the ones that I don't prefer. Though other people may like them, for the genres under this category, I think I could only read one book, or maybe two. So far, if I remember, 2 is the maximum number of books that I could read under this category that I do not fancy about. However, I do not object to other people who happen to love books under these genres. We all have our own likings. It's a matter of preference, it's a matter of taste. Nothing wrong with it. Now say, what happened when I choose to start with a wrong category, a wrong genre? I've never read a book under such a genre. I like to watch movies or TV dramas about romance. However, I don't read books that are under the romance genre. Why? I don't know. I just will not pick up a book about love and romance and read it. I don't mind watching a movie about love or a TV drama about love, romance, but not books. Then in 21/6, it happened before my first book, Unfamiliar Future. I happened to come across a short Japanese drama at that time. It was a sad story. The story was well written. The emotion between the lead actress and actor was well presented. I loved the drama very much. But I knew I was not an author who could write a love story. But the drama somehow, I would say, changed my mind at that time. So I felt at that time it encouraged me to write a love story. It made me feel I could do it. My first book, a love story, sounded very good at that time, even though I don't read books about romance. So I begin to plan to the characters, the event, so on and so forth. Then about 3 weeks down the road, I was still trying to work out the plot that I think it works, that I think it should work. I also found it difficult to build up the emotion of the lead actress and actor, as well as the characters around them. At that point in time, I knew that I was not, at least then, at that time, meant to write love stories. I stuck at the starting point, really unable to move on, not an inch. So from that experience, I discovered that if I don't read books that belong to, say, certain genres, I should not attempt to write stories that fall under those categories. Until I start to like reading books that fall under those categories that I didn't like previously, only then I should consider writing books that belong to that to those genres. Then again, who knows? Maybe I'm able to write a romance or love story some years down the road. Anyway, we'll see. Right? We'll see how it goes. So, choosing a genre is the first step, the starting point. Very important. Don't get it wrong. Well, like I said before, just now, some of you may say, well, I can fix the problem halfway. That's true. But that will cost you time and efforts, which could have been spent elsewhere in your story. So the best is, don't get the bearing wrong right from the start. Don't get it wrong right from the beginning. Okay, that's all I want to talk about genre. Thank you for watching.